Welcome back to Blacksheep Barbell Podcast. Today, I want to go over a little recap of the most recent episodes we've come out with. I wanted to choose specific clips from these episodes, maybe some important things that the guests have told us, that we've learned from them, or that you guys could learn from listening to them. How is like your strength training? Has that helped you at all with you doing varsity football? Is it coordinating? That's what you're doing.
I think the mindset behind it does, and that's one thing I
Yeah,
really try to instill in the athletes is um, not every day is going to be a good day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But coming
it's
in and
important.
having a weak lift or one that's not as great is better than no lift, you know?
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
I try to preach attendance and how important that is. And I even show at the end of the semester. So we started using this app a couple of years ago. It's called Platform. It's like
Oh,
PLT4M.
okay.
And
Hmm.
I'm sure all these colleges use these like apps that are personalized for their athletes, and that's how they program
Mm-hmm.
everything. Well, we found this one, and once my kid was born, I kind of talked to the head coach at the time, and I was like, "Hey, man, like I'm not gonna be here every day in the summer to write on the whiteboard and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like I gotta have family time. We're gonna be doing trips and this and that. He's gonna get sick, so." Um, Someone I knew was using it, and I kind of looked into it, and it's basically like all the kids make a profile, and when I put their workouts in, it's like percentage based, so it customizes everything to them. And what that does is it allows me to track everything. It's time lifted, it's weight lifted, um, you know, uh, successful lifts, failed lifts, whatever it is. There's a notes section where they can take notes like, hey, I did, bicep curls and I used the 30s last time. All right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I tell them, I go, check your notes. So that next time, even if you go up 2.5 pounds or you go up 5 pounds, it's still growth,
Yeah.
and I think that using that now, what I can do is I am able to, at the end, they have a report section. So I can print out the reports and I can, I basically say like, guys, I've been doing this
Wow.
with this app for X amount of years now. And
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you there's a direct correlation to attendance and growth. Like it is what it is. Like when you are here, you're going to get stronger. You remember how it is
Yeah.
when you're in high school, like you could lift horribly and you're going to get stronger.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like
Yeah.
it's the newbie game,
That's how it is.
And
Newbie gains, yep.
yep. And I think that the mindset of like I said with the training that I was doing, and there's days where I'm like, man, I do not want to go and put 6, 7, 800 pounds on my back. Like, I don't want to do that today.
Mm-hmm.
But you go in and you got to have this light switch in your head, and you have to be able to
Yeah.
flip that switch. And then I look at the percentage of the day. Like, all right, let's say it's an hour. Like I see these kids for 45 minutes a day after changing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, guys, 45 minutes is such a small percentage of your day. If you could just find that light switch to flip to get through
I know.
this, you're never going to regret it, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I think, what I say, I've been doing this 25 years now. I think I'm still
Yeah.
using that switch. Like, all right, flip it, let's go, you know?
Yeah, that's cool that app exists. I actually didn't know that existed. That would have been helpful to
Yeah.
use.
And it's great because it's got a bunch of preloaded. I got like 40 or 50 preloaded workouts. And so I've got a bunch of
Uh-huh.
girls that come in class that really have no desire to strength train or,
Mm-hmm.
back squat. So they'll come in and they'll do like, they got like body weight boot camps. They have yoga, they have Pilates, they have, intro to strength programs. So it teaches the form. And what I like about it is there's a small video clip with every lift. So
Okay.
if they're like, oh, I don't know what this is, but they've done it 5 times before, but they forget what it was, they can just click it. Oh, yep, I know what that is. All right. And they just start doing it.
Yeah.
Really helps me out because if I've got 40 in a class, there could be 10 or 12 of those cases at one time. And it just keeps things
Mm-hmm.
moving, and then that allows me to walk around, and now I can just focus on form cues, relationships, and all that stuff as I'm going through. It really saves me time. So,
Yeah, that's amazing that they can just watch a video and just learn how to do it there.
yep.
Um,
I mean,
yeah.
obviously I go through and teach it at the beginning, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a really good like refresher, like
Yeah.
it's a really good refresher to like, oh, I forgot, the difference between a bicep curl and a hammer curl. Well, now they can
Mm-hmm.
click it and be like, oh yeah, I've done that before. And then just,
Yeah, I've even like not with those lifts, but I've even had some lifts like I'm following a program. Like, what is it? Like I gotta look it up still. So
jump on Google.
that
Yep.
helps a lot.
And everyone's,
Yeah.
and everyone's like reinventing the same lift, but they're putting their own
I
name
know.
on it. So you're like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, I do know what this lift is.
It crosses my mind every once in a while. I'm like, oh God, I just
know.
don't want that to happen.
And especially it's like too, you know, after you do experience that injury or that tweak and you start doing that movement, that's what's in your
yeah,
mind.
it's like PTSD,
You're like,
dude.
oh no.
Yeah.
You start feeling a little something, you're like, shit.
Yeah, I was benching the same video last week in my my YouTube video. My top set for the day was supposed to be a set of 3 at 374, and on the second rep, I felt like I put all the weight in my pecs, and immediately my brain is, that fight or flight, like get this fucking because I'm afraid something's gonna tear again. So I stopped the set, and I talk a lot with my training partners because we've been training partners for years. I'm talking everyone here's longer than 7 years been training with me. So I'm like,
Wow.
I felt like I almost just tore my pec. And he's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to do it better.
You're like, well, I got some more sets to go.
Yeah. Well, that's my mindset is like, I know I fucked up technically. I don't want to bench with my pecs. I want to bench with my back. So I went from the 2 down to a single, and I made sure, oddly enough, like right before I bench, I try to really, really relax. And then when I go to push the bar, then I get like super like tight into it. So I made sure I relaxed really good, and I kind of just listened to the music for a split second, and then I take it out, and then I just twist my back down, and then he gave it to me for that set, and I was like, oh shit, this is easy. And then boom, it was nice and easy. So I did it for another 2 sets just to make sure, because when the weight gets heavier, you guys know this, everything changes. The weight on your back, the weight in your hands, or even with a deadlift, once you take that first tug off the floor, your warm-ups are your warm-ups. But when you're in that working realm of 90+%, everything changes mentally, because now that's when shit goes wrong. It could go wrong even more. So you got to be ready for it. And that's when you really got to get inside yourself and slow the fuck down. Make sure you know your cues, where you're putting the weight at. And I think the one set where I thought I was just rushing it, most likely. I was just being an asshole, rushing shit for no reason.
That's the thing I love about heavy lifting and powerlifting, just strength in general. It's just that your own self-induced fight or flight. You're up in that 90% or higher, and it's like, all right, I got to fucking lock in because this weight can hurt me.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're doing this to ourselves, right? Like, we want it, and it's a good time, man. It's like, it's that self-induced mission, right?
Exactly.
It's like nobody's forcing you to do it. This is something you love doing, and you're like, hey, I'm working towards this meet. I don't have to do it, but I love doing this. This is what I want to do. Let's see, how far I can push it and where I can get.
Exactly. That's where it's important to be around other lifters, because when you're by yourself, you can very easily talk yourself out of that at times too. So it's great to have people with shared mission, shared goal. Like, hey, we're all trying to be the best we can. So like Kevin said, hey, someone's not bringing the juice one day. You got 5 other training partners, 8 other training partners that are checking in. You're like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, get your head out of your ass. Hey, I know you can squat better than that. Let's get a little bit deeper. Let's put a little more force into the bar, or let's believe in ourselves a little bit, because, hey, you said you want to do this. So here's your chance, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely.
You got to really go through 1 or 2 things to learn the value of going through the hard stuff, to be able to maintain that level-headedness.
That's right, man. I had a friend, man, that he's also in bodybuilding space, man, but one of his little phrases is seek discomfort.
Oh, wow.
It's like, look for certain ways that are challenging for you. So, off of that framework, for me lately, in using that line, seek discomfort, it's been me putting myself in situations like this, like a podcast. Because typically, I don't talk. I'm not like super conversational and stuff like that. I typically kind of like, even if I'm in the store and I see somebody that I know, like I'll go out of my way to go down to like aisle 11 to not have to, even though that interaction might be like, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Like, man, I'll go to the other side of the store.
I feel that.
But that's like one of the things where it's like being self-aware enough to know, like, okay, man, like, let's try to work on that a little bit. And it's not like I'm going to become, a public speaker overnight, but it's like some of those situations, if I can be mindful enough in the moment to stop myself from being like, oh crap, I'm gonna go this way so I don't have to do it. It's like, man, I'm actually going to go towards this person or this thing, this opportunity. And if I just jump in, then, you know, the outcome that happens right then in that moment might not be amazing. It might be a really awkward interaction, but that's an interaction that I can then notch in my belt and say, okay, cool. Later on, I can evaluate it and see what was good, what was bad. And the next time around, I should be a little bit better, right? I should be marginally better, right? And then if I can just continue to do that, then I should get better and better and better and more comfortable in those scenarios. And then, you know, in 3 years, maybe I'm not, you know, the guy that just avoids somebody that he knows in the store just to not have to, you know. And maybe I am. Shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
we're like that too.
Yeah,
and
honestly,
that's why this podcast was we're seeking discomfort. This podcast was totally out of our comfort level.
Yeah,
you know, we're the same way. So being like, okay, hey, we're gonna have people on here having hour-long conversations, maybe 2 is like something we're not used to.
It is. It was difficult, definitely at first. It's still something I feel like I'm getting used to. But like it just goes to show, like, to face, like, essentially your fear of this, or you're worried about this, like all these thoughts go through your head. You start overthinking, right? Oh, if I go talk to this person, it could be awkward, it could be this, but it could not be. It could be something that something you learn from, or, you know, somebody that you reconnect with, that you're friends with, or in anything. Like, just face those things that I think you're afraid of, and then, you know, you can come out better for it.
That's facts, man. Like, one of the mentalities that like kind of helps with that is this mentality is called the brick mentality, where it's kind of like you're playing Mario, but in real life, you know. So each of those opportunities is like one of the little boxes that's above Mario's head, you know. So it's like, as you're going through the course, you know, and you're playing, you know, you wouldn't skip one of those because, you know, it's a ring or it's, you know, a mushroom or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, I'm not going to skip on this opportunity, because that particular opportunity in that particular time will never happen again, you know. So it's like, let me try to capitalize on it, because who knows what this person has, who knows what this person is doing, who knows what they're going through, who knows what they're going to face when they get back to wherever it is they came from, you know. So if I can just, you know, do something beneficial, then, you know, that might change the trajectory of whatever they got going on.
Yeah.
You know, and vice versa, you know.
I always try to tell myself too, you know, if there's something I'm nervous about, or something that I'm contemplating, should I do this, should I not? I always just try to have this self-talk with myself, like, what am I scared of, right? Like what is it exactly that's making me nervous? Like, do I think I'm going to be judged? And then if I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm worried about, then I resort back to, well, who cares? Like so what? Like, at the end of the day, I'm still going to go home. I'm still going to go to bed. I'm still going to work out. I'm still going to go to work. Like, who cares if they judge me? I don't care. Like, you know, so just trying to going through all of the reasons why I'm feeling this way, and then just coming up with a reason as to, well, it don't matter. It shouldn't matter. I know I feel this way, but it's all right. It's normal. Yeah,
man. I think we all inherently fight that, you know, to some degree. You know, it's just human nature, you know, but in those situations and stuff, if you're just organically you, then it is what it is, man. Like, if you're you and you're moving in your purpose and how it is that, you know, you handle things, then nothing else really matters, man.
My thing with, like, seeing chiropractic stuff is on Instagram. You see these crazy videos, just these crazy neck cracks, and they're like, oh, this will fix this will fix this. And I think that's why it gets a bad rep, because they see it as like the only thing to turn to, and then it's like these crazy videos that look extremely painful, and then you see stories. So how does like what you do differ from that? Because I know you focus more on like recovery, helping people out of injuries and everything. So how do you differ from like what a lot of people see on Instagram?
All right, so chiropractic has like 2 battling categories within it, okay? And so I call them, this is not like the official term, but I call them old school chiros versus like the new school chiro, okay? And the old school chiropractors are going to be the guys that were taught the adjustment is the key, right? So they believe that the spinal cord is the key to everything. There's a safety pin analogy that they use, right? So if the safety pin is open, it's not like free flowing. But they believe there's misalignments called subluxations inside the spine, and they can crack those, they put them back into alignment, and now you've restored neurological function. You've closed that safety pin, and everything's good to go. So And I realized that when I was in chiro school, example is maybe in depth, but somebody hurt their knee, right? They blew out their ACL. That's connected like L3, L4 into the low back, if you know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, the guy said that this is a professor, and he goes, "Oh, what they really needed was an L3, L4 adjustment." And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me, man!" Like they blew out their ACL. No, there's a shear force on the on the tibia that moved in like the femur, and that's how it works, and it has nothing to do with that. So yeah, I realized that there's two different areas, right? So these old school chiros believe in the adjustments. The new school stuff, we're more called evidence based, and a lot of people are calling themselves rehab chiropractors now. And physical therapists may or may not like it, but we're kind of trying to be like a physical therapist, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's really, we're using the evidence in like my school that I went to, National University of Health Sciences. I guess I'll give them a shout out because they are evidence based to the T. Like we do not talk about these subluxation things. We're not allowed to say that kind of stuff. The real truth of it is that it's a joint restriction. Things don't move. Your finger doesn't move sometimes, right? And feels like it's stuck, and you pop it and it makes a noise. That's just a gas exchange inside the joint movement, and now all of a sudden it feels a lot better. Now, joint restrictions do cause issues and all that, and that's a whole other thing. But basically, the new stuff that's evidence-based, we realize that joint restrictions are one thing, but the way the muscles pull on joints, the way that we train, the way that rehab is taken into it, all needs to be brought into this full picture, as well as the things that you eat. So from the inside out, nutrition, stress loads, all that kind of stuff, all plays a role. So the new modern chiro is basically taking all that into account. So when you come into like my office, we're going to do a history, and I've gone to the doctors recently, and man, they just ask 3 questions and then that's it. So like you're sitting down with 30 minutes. I want to know where you're lifting, why you're lifting, how you're lifting, everything. And then we're going to go do a movement assessment. So we're going to see how you're moving, because just because you say you're doing squats or you're doing this and you got great form doesn't mean anything to me. Like I've got to see it actually done.
Yeah.
So then we do all that kind of stuff. Then we do tissue work to address all the kind of pain. We diagnose all that, and then we give them exercises. Yes, there are adjustments that are tied into that, but they're just the cherry on top, really. I mean, I'm basically functioning like an athletic trainer that can do adjustments. And an adjustment is just, so anybody knows, it's just a grade 5 manipulation. Manipulations are on scales. They go from 1 to 5. And 5 is just the fastest, and it makes the most pop noise, basically.
With people that have never been to a chiropractor before, right? Somebody has no knowledge, anything like that. Like, are there things that people should take into consideration, things they should be on the lookout for as far as consistent pain or something, as far as like, they're like, hey, maybe I should see a chiropractor. Maybe this is just something I can handle myself real quick. Like, what are some things you would recommend for people to look for as far as consistent pain or something like that, to be like, hey, maybe I should see a chiropractor. This would help.
100%. I think that chiropractors should, and physical therapists, whoever's in your area, should be viewed as what's called the general practitioner, so the GP of sports type injuries, musculoskeletal is what we call it, right? Muscles and joints. They should be viewed the entry point. So when you've had a pain that's going on, it's starting to affect your lifts, right? You're not able to hit the same kind of weight. You've got that sharp stabbing pain. It's going to start affecting all different things. So when you've got that going on for more than a couple of days, and you can't do some range of motion stretches and get it to go away, just go see them. Go get an evaluation. Go see what it is, because the problem is, what we're seeing is a lot of guys don't want to come in and they don't want to address that. Let's say it's been a week, right? And nothing's changed. They're still dealing with like 10 being the worst pain they've ever experienced, 6 out of 10 pain for like a week. It's not going away. The little things they see on YouTube aren't helping. Go get it checked out, because the guy you're starting to change the lift. You're starting to do different things, and you're going to start to compensate with different areas. Now you're going to blow something else out. So like example, we had a patient in here a couple of days ago. They had a groin injury. They're walking with a limp, even though they didn't really need to. Now their hip is going to be messed up, or they're telling me now their hip hurts because they're walking funny. Things like that. So the same thing would go into a lift. So if you're looking at sharp pains for a couple of days, things that aren't going away, well, what's what I like to say too is, I understand, like any guys in the gym, and like we're all that mentality where we just want to rub some dirt on it and move on. We don't really want to ask for help. And the truth is, time will heal things. Okay, so like time will heal. You can hurt your back, you can hurt your knees, you can hurt your hips, and you can have like 3 months. It'll heal itself. But our job is to just be a facilitator of the healing acceleration. So I really want this thing to like speed up. It's you doing the work. I'm going to give you exercises, and all of us in that field are going to give you things like that. And we want you to go do them, and it's on you. It's kind of homework. So we're just here to help with the soft tissue stuff and the adjustments. We're just trying to speed it up so you're in less pain, so you can get back to what you're trying to do faster instead of having to wait 3 months and then, atrophy and all that other stuff is going to set in if you're not doing like, your normal routines.
So what's the difference like between coaching people in person like you do with the students and doing online coaching? Like I know you've had clients all over the world, it seems like Canada, Mexico, South Africa, and Austria, you said.
Yeah.
So how is that? Is it more difficult to do it online? Is there any difference in that, or is it pretty straightforward like both ways?
The more I'm getting into doing stuff with students, I've really realized that like the students are hands down more receptive in person. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
because they're more still kind of at that moldable age. They don't have a lot of bad habits in place. Like they might have some things that they're picking up on and whatnot, but like the student atmosphere, they really thrive off getting to talk to me in person, get to see me do things, get to demonstrate it, get my criticism right there in the moment. Adults, like there's some people that really do good with that kind of stuff, but it's not a real high percentage. Uh, the vast majority of people really lack a lot of confidence when it comes to stuff, unless they're, but again, like bodybuilding and whatnot, or like when I started doing my prep and whatever, I didn't mind going and getting criticism from my coach because that's what I wanted to do, and I'd already worked up
Yeah.
to that point. But the vast majority of people that I work with are usually trying to make that like body transformation. They've let themselves go. They're former
Mm-hmm.
athletes, or they've never had a good lifestyle to begin with, so they're a couple 100 pounds overweight. But just all those sorts of things. So usually
Yeah.
when I encounter them, I've done, like I said, I've owned a gym in the past. I've done personal training in person. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
done all those things, and the adults that I worked with in person were few and far between that would be able to like be super receptive and maintain those results. But like when it came to the online side of things, people really seem to thrive a lot better with it because they I mean, I'm kind of like this too. Like someone kind of gives me some tips or things to do, and I kind of want to go do it on my own in my own time when no one else is around, so that like if I screw up or if I don't get it right or if I have questions, I can kind of look things up and whatnot. And I know that's what all my people are typically doing, is they're kind of Googling some stuff, they're like reaffirming some things that I tell them. They're going home, they're messing around in the kitchen, they're playing with their app and
Yeah.
tracking food and trying to play with numbers and whatnot to see what works. And just doing all, or they'll try and do an exercise in the privacy of their own room or home versus going to the gym and doing it for the first time. Just little
Yeah.
things like that. So like I think just by nature, like the adults really seem to do a lot better with the virtual side of stuff because they can have that like secrecy to stuff that they do. And it's
Yeah.
kind of on their terms when they can share and let the world and let me in on what actually is like happening and what things look like and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, um, versus like a student. Like there, you can't trust most of them to be accountable to themselves unless like you're right there with them and just um, like that's kind of the way I've seen the dynamic work out. It wasn't intentional that I was trying to figure out like which one did this or that or the other, in either direction,
Mm-hmm.
virtual or in person. But it's just kind of where I've been blessed to be able to see both dynamics over time of the last 12, 13 years that I've been doing this. And like right now, that's kind of where I fall into where I really noticed that like the in person with the students, they're freaking thriving. They're doing awesome, and they're taking everything up like a sponge that I do with them in person. Anything I've given them to do on their own, every time I check in with them, it's, oh yeah, I forgot, or oh, I did that. Like they never hold themselves accountable, but everything I do in person, they do.
Yeah.
And the adults are the same way. Like some of them, like I work with people all over the country and a couple people globally and whatnot, but like the people in my hometown or area that I run into that I've coached or coached currently, if I see them in person, like they might share everything with me virtually, but when I see them in person, they're just kind of like mild and like, hey, what's up? And like that's that.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to get super into all the stuff around their friend or their family or whatever. Um, so
Yeah.
that's kind of what I've seen with it.
Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm going to try this before I head out. This one's a dead one. We don't have the new one in here right now. Let's see. A little something. They still hit a little bit. But yeah, thanks, guys, for watching. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.